welcome to the Semex podcast. My name is Clarissa McCallum, our marketing coordinator here at Semex, and I'm joined today by a very special guest, Alex Moir, or we call you Al more often. And if you're watching on YouTube, we are in our Annex 3 in the barns in Guelph, where Al has spent the last 40 years when these barns existed, working with Semex, and we're celebrating Al's 40th anniversary coming up in a week. And we just want to talk about what the last 40 years have looked like at Semex, GenCore, United Breeders, all of the companies.
Yep. East Gen.
Yeah, exactly. So welcome, Al.
Well, thank you. Proud to be here.
I guess I want to know, Al, why'd you start working at Semex 40 years ago?
Well, we had our own farm just south of Fergus, and my parents are quite elderly, and I couldn't afford to buy the farm to give them enough money for them to retire. I wanted to, but the barn needed work, the house needed work.
Yeah.
So they eventually sold the farm, and I started working. I worked for a dairy farmer down the road, and then I found a job over at Puslinch on a purebred Hereford farm.
Okay.
My friend was working here at United Breeder Days. He worked here for 6 or 7 months, and then he went back home into their family dairy farm.
Right.
So I took his spot.
You took his spot. And what was that friend's name?
Oh, Arnold Devort.
Arnold Devort. Okay. And so do you remember your first day it was United Breeders at that time?
I remember first we're getting hired. Lowell Lindsay actually hired me.
Did he? Cool.
Yeah. And going through I remember the tour of the barns. I mean, even back then, I was young, and it was intimidating, walking down those barns, seeing all those big animals, and everything had horns, and a lot of them were fairly aggressive, some of them, and just through the barns. And then I guess they had just bought the East Complex.
Okay.
So, it's a lot of land here, eh? So it's a big operation.
Absolutely.
I was just hoping I'd do okay here.
Yeah. Well, clearly you have 40 years later, right? And your first weeks, what did your first week look like? Were you handling bulls, or what did you start doing?
No, the first month or so, I just fed.
Right.
Fed corn silage and hay and pellets and grain. Everything's by hand.
Wasn't TMR at that time?
No TMR. No. We had the silos here. Had to fill the feed carts under the silo loader and fork it all out by hand.
Right.
Handle the bales by hand.
Right.
Everything's push carts here. Bedding, all bedding carts. Had to do it all manually, shoveling each pen.
Yeah, we only stopped doing that not so long ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
And so the first while I just fed. I'd come up to the collection area when I was done feeding and help lead Caesars around. And I started leading little calves, and then I remember one day a couple of the main bull handlers, one day I was sick, so I got thrown into handling Lon's Farm Revelation.
Revelation was your first bull you ever handled.
Big bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then it just went from there, I guess.
There's a lot of bigger bulls at that time.
Yes, there's a lot of, compared to now, everything was fairly big back then.
Yeah.
Big bulls, some of those smaller pens too.
Right. Yeah, now we've got, as you can see, all of these big pens for those bigger bulls.
Yeah.
Yeah. A bit of a change in how you do things too, a little bit more automated with tractors and such now.
Everything is manual labor back then. Yeah. We baled 55,000 bales of hay every year at small squares.
Small squares, yeah.
I had to do all that by hand, and then feed it by hand, and all the cleaning out by hand.
Was this what you imagined yourself doing for the last 40 years when you first started?
It went fast.
Yeah.
Fast and high. Yeah, I was raised at a farm, and I'm used to farm work. I enjoy farm work.
Right. It's a natural fit then.
Yeah. And and all in general, I enjoy it. I mean, it'd be bad days and good days.
Of course.
All along, but I can't
work anywhere that you don't have bad and good days.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, I actually, before you know it, it was here. Yeah. So a lot of.
In those, you have a lot of things that I'm sure you could choose from in the last 40 years, but any favorite memories that stick out, or?
Yeah, there's a few moments I was pretty happy about. I collected the millionth dose on Comestar Leader.
Yeah.
Leader was when GenCore formed, each unit got to keep a bull.
Right.
And he's the one we kept, and he made a lot of money, thankfully.
Yeah.
And then later on, I guess by chance, I collected the millionth dose in Comestar Lheros.
Yeah.
And when we were classifying, I think got a chance to lead him around for the 2 classifiers. He scored
Okay.
97
Wow.
for first bull in Canada to go 97.
First bull in Canada to go 97. That's pretty cool.
There's another time back in 2001, I believe it was. They sent me down to Argentina, Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Yeah.
With the 4 bulls. There was a unit down there, so we donated 4 bulls
Really?
to keep them going down there.
Yeah.
So I had to take them.
What was that like?
It was exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. We had to take them truck them down to Florida.
Right. You went with the truck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the bull. Yeah, we put them in the truck all the way down to Florida. We'd run a little behind schedule, so we didn't stop.
No. Cool.
Yeah, and then they had to go in a quarantine unit in Miami.
Right.
Stay there for, I forget how many days, 3 or 4 days. And then we loaded them up in the plane in the crates.
Yep.
A cargo plane. And then we flew down
So you flew cargo with them then, premium economy.
no, I actually got to sit with the pilots.
Did you? That's super cool.
Yeah, I even he let me fly the plane for a bit. You were a co-pilot.
When you started working at Semex, you would be co-piloting planes.
Yeah, so I didn't think that either. And then we actually landed in, I forget where was it? Colombia or something like that.
Okay.
I didn't know, and no one said we were landing there, but they wouldn't let me off the plane because there's soldiers there with guns.
Right.
So he's land there 3 or 4 hours, and then we went down to Buenos Aires.
Okay.
That was in November.
In November, yeah.
That year.
So it'd be nice and warm.
Well, the day I got down there, it was pouring rain, and it was cold, midnight.
Okay.
I had to unload the bulls in this quarantine barn down there, and it was old. It was fast. And soldiers all around with the guns and everything, but they were fine.
And then you just flew straight home after that, like
no, I stayed down there for almost well over a week. I know that.
Okay.
And they took me to the unit where they were going. Well, at first I had to stay in the quarantine unit with them just to help them with feed the bulls, look after them. And they actually took me to the unit. It was about a 2-hour drive from there.
Okay.
Just to show me the unit.
Not with the bulls, but
no, and then just, I don't know, give them pointers, I guess.
Some handling tips.
Yeah. Collecting.
Yeah. Tricks of how to handle the 4 bulls you brought down there.
Yeah.
Cool. And they were mature bulls?
Mature bulls, yeah. They were proven bulls.
Of all of those moments, is there any that you're specifically proud of, or is there something that, if you had to write a book, what would your headline of that book be?
Well, those moments, they're pretty good.
Right up there.
I love the Royal Winter Fair tours because we got to see back in the day we had 500 or 600 visitors here, and a lot of night tours too. And I enjoyed that time up here. You meet different people from different countries, and some of the representatives.
Bull parades at that time too.
A lot.
Right?
We bring the bulls out 9, 10 times a day sometimes.
That would be impressive. I mean, most people wouldn't have seen a mature bull.
Yeah, big.
Yeah. Manifold on those tours?
Somewhat, yeah. And then the crowds over the years with biosecurity died down. But yeah, we still brought him out.
Yeah. Into the viewing room.
Into the viewing room. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Took 2 of us to bring him out.
Took 2 of you, yeah.
So he was
a
little
and
problem sometimes.
You were telling me before you're not sure who collected Manifold's millionth dose, but it's possible that it was you. So that's how many millionth doses that you participated in?
3, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least you were there for it.
Yeah. And I just found out, apparently I collected the last collection on him before he left here.
Wow.
So
that's cool too.
I guess, yeah.
You have to just start writing notes. The biggest lesson that you learned over the last 40 years.
Well, one thing I learned how to collect here down in the mini barn.
In the mini barn.
As a little isolation unit we had down there.
Yeah.
So back then, all the bulls that we collected for Australia had to go down there in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So I wasn't here that long, and this Peter Gray, he taught me. He showed me how to collect down there and collect a big beef bull down there.
Okay.
And he just gave me the AV and said, "Here."
Good luck.
Yeah, and that's how I learned to collect them.
All right.
He was a good teacher, though. He's a very, very knowledgeable man.
Is there any tricks to handling bulls? Like, what's your tricks?
Just keep an eye on the bull.
Yeah.
Just be wary of where you're going.
knowing, like being able to kind of pick up on what they're feeling and their body language.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Going first before you
Yeah. have a
improvise
plan.
if you have to, if you run
Right.
into a situation. Man, this other fellow that used to work here years ago. One thing you do, the ropes are in your hands are tight, and all of a sudden they're slack. You better check.
You better look.
Yes.
That's a great point.
Yeah. Plus, back then everything had horns, so that was a bit of
Yes.
a
You had to
challenge and a plus too sometimes for
And
catching.
was it the same ropes and chain that you use now, or did you guys have a different way of leading them when you first started?
No, we always used
Always
ropes and
the rope.
snap.
Wasn't sure if it was like the chains on the horns.
There's a couple of bulls that were really bad. We had chains around their horns
Right.
and we left them tied because it took half an hour to catch them sometimes.
And it was manual catching.
It was
at that time,
manual
too.
catching.
No head gates like we've got now. Get really good at lassoing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Using cowboy style.
It was, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the most obvious question that everybody wants to know is who your favorite bull or bulls have been through the 40 years.
Yeah, Townsend Lindy was one. Pond Acres Broker.
Yeah.
I always liked him. He's very impressive looking bull too. We
Yeah.
had him for tours. Rocky Mountain Lotto Max.
Yeah, we have a photo that I'm gonna insert now for anybody watching on YouTube. We'll have that photo on it. Yeah.
Oh, there's a few. Oh, Lheros.
Mhm.
Comestar Lheros. Silky Gibson was another one too. I always liked him.
And you liked them because you liked working with them, or because they were good bulls, or what's the reason?
Both. They were pretty decent to handle most times, and decent looking animals too. You felt if you had to parade them, you felt good taking
Yeah.
them out because
Yeah, that's always
they
nice.
looked good and they walked good most of the times.
Did you have any mentors? I mean, when you first got started, or
Yeah, well, like I mentioned, this Peter Gray, he was here. He actually brought some of the penning over from Maple Unit
oh, really?
to the United Breeders here when they were building it.
Right.
So Peter was here right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then when I started, he was good. He took me under his wing. He was a Scotchman, very smart individual. That's who taught me how to collect.
Yeah.
He's a good fitter, an excellent
Okay.
fitter. He used to work at Oak Ridges Farms, and so he taught me a lot about clipping.
So
Tricks.
did you do a lot of the clipping too then for tours or
Yeah.
pictures or?
Yeah, I don't hardly do any now the last several years, but
Mhm.
before we clipped all the time. Ron Annignab's another guy I learned a lot from. He is an excellent bull handler.
Mhm.
He was very good. So I learned a lot from him. So from those two guys, I learned a lot, clipping and everything. And I clipped a lot.
Yeah.
Guys, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of bulls.
Was it like you clipped them all the way off, or did you leave top?
No, back then we had to do the shoulder and the thighs, blend it all in.
Yeah.
And now is to take it all
Take it
off.
all
But
off,
back
yeah.
then you had to. So I
Mhm.
learned a lot of tricks how to do that.
Yeah.
So we had to do a lot of clipping because the barns are open to the public.
Right.
So
Oh, all the way into the barn.
yeah,
Somebody
people
could just come in
they did
like
barn
we are right
tours.
now.
Yeah, they would. It's like come in. We had signs all over the place.
Right.
Keep your hands away from the bars and
Yeah.
everything. And yeah, people would just come in. So we had to keep the barns washed,
Yeah.
the bulls clipped and
Yeah.
cleaned. So
All the time.
all the time. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Lowell Lindsay was another guy.
Right.
Like he was a sire analyst and he was a world renowned judge and a
Yeah.
fitter then. And
Yeah.
he was I always admired him because he's so smart with cattle, the pedigrees, and
Mhm.
he knew he could see the bad points or the good points in the bull before anybody else could. Kind of thing, he's just such a smart man that way,
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyway, over the years, we got to know each other
Yeah. Spend a lot of time together looking at bulls.
off and on. Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's really cool. If you had advice, somebody that's just starting in the barns now, what kind of advice would you give those people?
When you're starting, I know what I did. I listened to Pete and Ron. They've been here for years.
Mhm.
They had a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
So, I learned a lot from them.
Yeah. Just soaking it all in, right?
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
If you don't ask, you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then hopefully you try to do a better job.
Mhm. You can always learn something, right?
Always learn something. Yeah.
Are you still learning things to this day.
I learned a lot of good things and bad things there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in 40 years, like there has to have been a ton of changes, right? In the barns and the bulls and like what's been the biggest changes for you over this time?
Well, it's been a lot. I mean, when I first started United Breeders, I was here a little bit, a year or so. There was always talk about sharing semen between the units.
Right.
When I started, each unit was more or less on their own, eh? So one bull or one unit had a hot bull, and that unit kind of made the money. And then eventually they got talking that maybe we should start sharing the semen sharing program between the units,
Right.
take advantage of it,
Yeah.
of these hot bulls. And then that was one big change. And then over the years, like I said, that graduated from the feeding program, small hay bales to the large hay bales in the barns. We still had to feed them by hand.
And did that make it easier, having the large squares?
Yes, not you didn't have to mount all those hay bales.
Yeah.
Genomics.
Right.
Genomics was a big thing. And I remember the first bull we had here was Marbury Facebook.
Oh yeah.
He was the first bull of the official for here, I think. They came out with the official proof
Right.
of his genomics.
Yep.
And he said he was pretty close to what.
Right.
And then from there on, it just took off.
Yeah. And then you saw more young bulls and the mature bulls kind of dwindle down.
Yeah. There's a lot of younger bulls, a lot of younger ones, yeah. And like I said, genomics and sex semen.
Yes.
You know, that was a big game changer. And then over the years, you know, when I first started here, it was all men in the barns.
Yeah.
And then gradually, you know, we had girl summer students. Yep. And now the staff, the day shift is probably half and half.
Yeah.
Girls.
Yeah, I think it is.
And then the afternoon shift is predominantly all girls. In the afternoon shift, they're all girls, except for a couple of guys.
Yeah.
That give my hats off to the girls. They do a great job. They're good bull handlers.
I mean, frankly, it doesn't matter how strong you are. The bull is always going to be stronger, right? So it comes down to just being good with the bull.
You got a little bit of instinct, read the bull, and
yeah.
So I know the girls they've done well. Years ago, I never thought it would ever happen, and you know, it's the same in the other units too, all over. And then like the afternoon shift, I guess. Collecting semen, right? Yeah.
And so it was only 5 days a week collection before the sorting machines came here to Guelph too, right? So that was a bit of a shift to collecting 7 days a week, 363 days.
Yeah, Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah. So that's a big change.
It is, yeah. So they collect bulls till almost 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, 3 times a day, which it was also, was it 1 time a day before the sorting machines came up?
Before we collected bulls, just mainly in the morning.
Yep.
Long weekends, statutory holidays. We had to collect a few bulls, like the more prominent bulls.
Yep.
And then collect in the morning, sexing bulls and conventional.
Yep.
After lunch, more sexing bulls,
Yep.
and then at nighttime, a few more sexing bulls.
To keep those sorting machines going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's a big change. You're right. Sex semen really would have changed how the dynamic and what we needed in the barns. We didn't have an afternoon shift prior to that.
No. And another big change is new barns.
Yeah. I mean, these ones were renovated in 2021.
Well, when I started, there's another I forgot to mention that when I started here, none of these annex barns were here.
Yeah, the barn we're standing in did not exist when you started.
Annex 1, 2, and 3 were not here.
No.
I remember they built the first one, and a couple of years they built. I think the first one was built in 91, I think. And then the second one a couple of years later, and then this one. This was originally a group housing barn.
Yep.
Did studies over the years, some of the general managers over the units, and then thought this was the cheapest way to house bulls.
Right.
But then the genomics came, and some bulls are getting a little injured, and so
need to avoid the group housing, right?
Yeah. So so that was a big change. And then now, you know, they've got the old barns there. Now they build these new ones, and it's a lot better for the bulls.
Yeah. More space,
Much
better ventilation,
better air, more space for them.
Yeah. And head lockers.
And head lockers, yes.
Which is great.
No forking out pens.
And no forking out pens. Yeah, it went to everything became less manual at that point, right?
I mean, it's different work. I mean, it's busy.
Mhm.
It's
Oh, it's
tiring
absolutely
too, but
busy.
one thing is a lot of walking now to the collection area.
Yeah, how many steps would
Oh.
get in a day?
I don't have a counter, but you hear some of them.
20,000
Probably.
easily.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to, it's a distance to get
That's a
from this
lot,
barn to the
especially
collection
from
floor. Yeah, but that's also different now too, is that all of the barns are connected to the collection floor. Every bull has
Yep.
exact access to get there too, right?
Yep.
Which would not have been the case.
And it is exercise for the bulls
Yeah.
walking back and forth.
That's great.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to stop talking. I think we could talk forever on this, but what's next? What's your next few months look like as you come across your 40th anniversary? What are you doing with your pastime?
Well, I'm off with a back injury right now. I did cut back to 3 days a week just for that reason.
Yeah.
But anyway, my plan hopefully to get better.
Yeah.
And I am working on it. Hopefully be back here shortly.
Good.
To
41 years.
yeah, before you know, it'll be 45.
Yeah, exactly.
Do that, and then I don't know. Just I got a lot of jobs at home I should be doing. Once I get better and stronger, I can do them and see more of my family. My grandkids live an hour away.
Right.
And my daughter and my stepdaughters too, but to spend more time with the grandkids because they're growing up fast.
Yeah. They would be. How old are they now?
One's 7 and one just turned 5 a couple of days ago.
They're growing up fast.
Yeah.
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 Nice. Good.
Yeah, and I'll just keep busy. I'll be doing something.
Yeah. Yeah, you
just
still. No, it's not in you to do that.
And I'll try to stay out of trouble.
Try to.
Yeah.
Good. That's awesome, Al. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you joining me today in our lovely barns, and also congratulations
Oh, thank
on
you.
coming up in a really short amount of time, 1 week left until your 40th anniversary. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it has been a pleasure working with you for the little bit of time that I got to work with you in the barns. So it's great to get to connect with you again in this capacity.
Good.
As well.
I hope you learned a few things from me.
I did.
Good things.
All good things.
Don't take the bad stuff.
No, I only learned good things. Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure working with you, Clay. Really nice girl.